This is Zach. Now Zach has over 200 hours of playtime in Rocket League and he has never been karting before. Now this is Harry. Harry's also never been go-karting before and believes that it's easy and just driving around in circles for ages. Now somehow I managed to convince these two to spend £40 each to come karting with me. Let's see how this one turns out. So, starting off session 1, we're on board with Harry here, and there's no hesitation whatsoever. He's put his foot to the floor, accelerator all the way down, and he is going pretty much full speed going down this straight here. Now, going into turn 1, he does go a little bit on the brake, which you don't really need to, but it is expected for his first time on the track. Now, he takes a little bit of a weird line going into that hairpin there, but overall it was pretty decent. He's got a pretty decent start to the lap. Pretty decent start to the session, and he's doing really well. I did give both Zach and Harry a little talk about the racing line and sort of how to take corners, and it seems like Harry's taking it up really well. Let's see how Zach's doing. So we're on board with Zach now. He's going pretty slowly down this straight. He's feathering the accelerator and he's wrestling the cart around this corner. Now he's not as confident as Harry was at the start, but I reckon this is more what I was expecting from the two of them. Harry just amazed me with how confident he was straight away. Now, coming around this corner, he does get a lot of oversteer, which I was quite surprised at considering how slow he was going. Now, down this straight, he does get overtaken, but he doesn't really care. He's just in his own race, in his element, trying to figure it out for himself. And you know what? I've got to respect that. Going back to Harry now, he's doing even better than he was a couple laps ago. He's starting to get his braking points correct, and he's starting to take the racing line pretty well, to be honest. Going up the ramp though, he still isn't using his boost correctly. That can be like half a second per lap, but it's just going to be something he's going to learn over the next couple sessions, next couple laps, that kind of thing. Now going down the ramp, he does actually start to catch up to the 41. There's a little bit of contact going around this corner, but not too much. And then Harry manages to squeeze up the inside, a little bit of contact again. But it's relatively clean and it's a really good overtake, especially for his first time karting. Back with Zach now. So he's still struggling quite a lot and he's not really got his pace yet. He's still trying to figure it out. He's not really got the racing line, and so I just easily overtake him here. Now I feel like this almost triggers something for him because he puts his foot down as soon as I get past him and he starts trying to follow me. I do pull away a little bit quicker though because he, as well as Harry, isn't using his boost, which is one thing which they both had to change for session 2. I could tell that overtake definitely changed something for Zach. Not even 2 laps later he actually starts going for it. His confidence has definitely picked up, though he takes a little bit too much speed going into this corner and he loses the back end. That's his first little moment of this race, but it's good to see that he's actually picking up his confidence. And he's been a little bit more ambitious for the corners. A couple laps later, I'm right behind Harry, and I'm trying to find a way through, but he's actually blocking me off fairly well. Harry catches up to the back of Zach and looks to go for an outside move, but that gives me the opportunity to go through the inside, and I get through fairly easily. Now, Harry tries to follow me up the ramp, but I'm just that little bit faster, and so I just pull away from him. Now, me and the guy in front have both just passed Zach and Harry, and I'm looking to make a move on him, but I'm probably a little bit ambitious because I think I'm just a little bit faster. Now he goes to defend a little bit, and for some reason I think I've still got the room to make the move. Well, I don't really, but I do actually give Harry a really good chance. So as he's recovering his car, Harry actually comes around the corner and looks around the outside. He had to brake a little bit though because the guy cut in front of him. Now, as Harry's going around the hairpin to go up the ramp, he doesn't use his boost, which actually gives the guy in front of him a really big gap. But I actually reckon if Harry was using his boost correctly, he could have kept up with that guy in front. Now, going down the ramp, he is still going for it, and he's got a target, so he's going to be trying to go quite fast. But he locks up the back and just loses the back end, and he has his first spin, which actually causes yellow. So at this point, Harry's right behind Zach, and Zach's trying to defend. He's just looking back, but he has a spin on the hairpin. Now this isn't enough for him to immediately lose the position, but Harry carries just so much more speed up that ramp, which allows him to just glide straight past. Zach can't really defend anything, there's not much he can do. He's just got to live with it. So a couple laps later, I come up to the back of Zach, who's just been overtaken by the guy in orange. Now, Zach actually runs wide on this hairpin, and I do a little bit of a dive bomb and get past fairly easily. Over the last lap, I've caught up to the guy in orange quite a lot. Now, I'm looking for a move down the inside, but it's not really there. I give the guy a little bit of a bump when he brakes a bit too hard. It's a bit of a drag race down to the end. I get past him going down the ramp, and it's pretty easy overtake. A little bit of a dive bomb, but you know what? It was good. It was about this point I realised that something wasn't quite right. And when I zoomed in to see what it was, I finally figured it out. So it turns out that over 98% of you guys are not subscribed to the channel. Now it is actually my birthday today, so if you would like to wish me a happy birthday, there's nothing better you can do than just liking and subscribing, as it really supports me and it really supports the channel. Alright, let's get on with the video. A couple laps later, I'm actually starting to catch up to the back of Harry. Now, he gets a pretty slow corner right there, which allows me to close the gap really quickly. Now, I look around the inside, but there isn't really enough space. I'm looking at a switchback, but I actually lose the back end on that corner. Now, Harry's actually defending really well here, and he gets a really good exit on the previous corner, so I have to stay behind him. Now, he doesn't really give enough defense onto this hairpin, and so I just managed to sneak through there. Might have been a little bit ambitious, but I got the move done. So we're on board with Zach now, and the lights have just gone yellow. Now, I'm right behind him, and the instant's just ahead of us, and he decides to stop in the middle of the track. Now, I give him a little bit of a wave to tell him to go on, and he's going very slowly to the front of the ramp. Now, eventually upstairs, I actually do pull alongside him, and I'm trying to give him some advice to use his boost a bit more. But as I'm trying to tell him, and as he's getting his visor up, the lights actually go green, and I notice it before him, and I just go ahead. Now, was that overtaking on yellows? I don't really think it was, but let's hear what you think in the comments. So, that's about the end of session 1. Now, Harry was probably the better driver out of Harry and Zach in that session. His best time was a 34.4 and Zach's best time was a 36.1. Both of them very decent times if it's your first time at this track. But Harry was over 2 seconds quicker, which is quite a lot in racing terms. Now, I think it was clear to see throughout the whole session, Harry was just so much more confident and Zach really took his time to warm up to the track. But that all changed in session 2, and I think that one's going to be quite an interesting one, so keep watching for that. So going into session 2, I wasn't really sure what to expect. Now, towards the end of session 1, Harry did start to feel a little bit motion sick, and that might affect his driving in this one. Now, Zach, he was improving a lot towards the end of session 1, and he was very keen on improving even more in session 2. In the gap between sessions, I did give them both a little bit of advice on sort of how to use their boost and where to use it, so hopefully they'll be a little bit faster in this one. Let's get into it. So, starting off session 2 with Zach, he's really going for it. His line is basically perfect through that corner, and he's full on the throttle. Now, coming up to the hairpin, he brakes a little bit too heavily and goes a little bit too wide. Now, going up the ramp, he's using his boost, which is good to see, and round this back corner, he takes it really tidily, if that's even a word, and it's much better than when he was fighting it in the first session. Now, coming up to this little chicane, he does turn in a little bit early and loses the back end slightly, which causes him to hit the wall, and he gets a little bit of understeer going around that corner, and so he has to take it really slowly. But overall, it's a pretty good start by Zach, and it's good to see that he's really built up his confidence over the start of the session and the end of session 1. So, Harry also got a pretty decent start. Going down the main straight, he starts to catch the guy in front, and the guy in front actually goes quite wide at this corner. Harry managed to cut on the inside and pull off a pretty nice overtake, especially for his first time karting. Now, I started to realise that my boost wasn't working. I tried telling the marshal, but I don't really know what I expected him to do. Anyway, I tried giving it one last try going up the ramp, and I just realised it wasn't working, so I thought it would just be best to pit and get a new kart. So, as I came out of the pits, the marshals actually stuck it on a red for me, which is quite nice, making sure I don't get hit by another kart and all that. Now, Harry and Zach actually overtook me while I was in the pits, so I'm going to have to try and catch back up with them and see if I can overtake them again. Now, Zach was improving each and every lap, and he was just getting better and better and better, which was really good to see. He did have to correct himself a little bit going around that corner, but it was pretty good. His line's pretty good as well. And he tried to go fast through here, but he was a little bit heavy on the brakes and he just loses the back end, which isn't great to see. But you know what? At least he's going for it. He's taking the risks and he's starting to see some of the rewards. I've started catching up to the back of Zach, and I'm using a little bit of human DRS, seeing if I can get that little bit of extra speed I need. But Zach actually loses his back end on this corner. Now, I look to the outside, he closed it off, so I switch back to the inside. It's a nice little move, but then Zach actually challenges the position. He's trying to use all of his boost to get past. I have to cut him off and use my boost, which means I go slightly wide due to the extra speed. He looks for a switch back, but he's not really got the space, and I'd keep the position. Overall, it's some pretty good fighting by Zach and some pretty good driving as well. It's great to see that his confidence has really built up over this time. Now, I'm starting to catch up with the guy in the orange suit. I carry so much more speed than him going up the ramp. I think he's letting me by, but I just used the rest of my boost to make sure I secure the overtake. Because I used my boost, I have to scrub off the excess speed, make sure I don't go flying into a barrier. Up ahead of me, it's actually Harry, and I'm trying to close the gap as much as I can. He's quite slow around the chicane, so I close the gap a lot. Both Harry and Zach are quite slow around that chicane, so I think it's just something they both struggle with. Might be because it's a bit technical, but I don't really know. Now, I'm a bit far out to go for the dive bomb, so I sort of just cut in a little bit sooner, and I'm now alongside with Harry. I think I've secured the overtake, but then he actually uses his boost to try and challenge me, and I have to use the rest of mine. Now, there might have been a little bit of contact here. Let's have a look at Harry's point of view. No, there's not really any contact, and he just hits the wall himself. I might have squeezed him a little bit, but let's see what you think in the comments. I think it was fair, Harry didn't, but yeah, let's see your opinion. Now, at the end of the session, Harry really wasn't feeling it. He was really motion sick, and he was just crawling around the track, not really doing anything. Now, a couple laps later, Zach actually does start to catch up to him, and Harry does seem like he's going at a decent pace. Coming up to the hairpin, Zach doesn't go for the dive bomb, but he does end up taking the inside line going up the ramp. He just uses his boost to make sure he secures the overtake. Now, he gives him a little wave and a little fist bump, and yeah, then he starts singing Smooth Operator. So that was about it for session 2. Now, Harry did end up getting the fastest time with a 33.6, which was about 3/10 faster than Zach. However, Zach does claim that he was the better driver because he did get that overtake on Harry at the end. Now, I'm not going to make a judgment on it because I don't really want to come between the two of them, but you guys can make a judgment. Leave your opinion in the comment and I'll be sure to reply to each and every one of them. Thanks for watching, I hope you have a great rest of your day and goodbye.